Vanakkam, this is KK. In today's video, we are going to see the concept called interest rate swap. Before seeing what is interest rate swap, let's try to understand what is a swap. Swap is an agreement between two parties to exchange a set of cash flows over a period in the future. The basic idea behind swap is that parties involved in a swap agreement would get access to markets at better terms than would be available to each of them individually. There are two categories of swap: currency swap and interest rate swap. In an interest rate swap, the counterparties agree to exchange interest payments on a notional principal. Now, let's see how this interest rate swap works with an empirical example. Let's consider two companies, namely JASO and Google. Both these companies are looking for a loan of 10 lakh rupees. JASO is a well-known company and Google is a less known company. JASO is expecting that the interest rates would fall in future, so they would be interested to get this loan at a floating interest rate. On the other hand, Google is expecting that the interest rates would increase in future, so it would make sense if they go for a fixed interest rate. Let's see the quotations available to both the companies at this point in time. JASO, being a well-known company, to get this 10 lakh rupees loan, they have to pay a fixed interest rate of 6%, floating interest of MIBOR plus 0.5% or 50 basis points. Google, being a less known company, they have to pay a relatively more interest rate compared to JASO, that is 9% fixed interest rate and MIBOR plus 2% floating interest rate. Let's see the comparative advantage of JASO over Google in both the cases, that is fixed and floating. If JASO chooses fixed interest rate, they can pay 3% lesser than what Google is going to pay. And if they choose floating interest rate, they would be paying only 1.5% lesser than what Google is going to pay. So based on this quotation, JASO has to choose fixed interest rate and Google has to choose floating interest rate, because that is where they are going to pay less more when compared to JASO. So based on the quotations, JASO decides to go with the fixed interest rate of 6% and Google decides to go with the floating interest rate of MIBOR plus 2%. And if they enter into a swap agreement between each other, they would get this arbitrage profit of 1.5%, which they can share equally between each other, or they can probably negotiate better rates between each other. If they decide to share this 1.5% arbitrage profit, now they can get 0.75% each. The swap is going to be like this. JASO is going to pay floating interest rate to Google, that is what they originally wanted to pay, and Google is going to pay fixed interest rate to JASO, that is what they originally wanted to pay to the bank. Let's see how much is going to be the net interest payment by both JASO and Google. Google wanted to pay a 9% fixed interest rate. Due to this arbitrage profit share of 0.75, so they would not be paying 9%, they would be paying 9% minus 0.75, that is 8.25% of interest is what they're going to pay. On the other hand, JASO wanted to pay floating interest rate, so due to this arbitrage profit share of 0.75%, JASO would be paying MIBOR plus 0.5% minus 0.75%, that is JASO would pay MIBOR minus 0.25% as the net interest payment. So now let me show you how we got these two values, that is JASO paying floating of only MIBOR and Google paying fixed interest rate of 6.25%. So let me show you how we got this value. So which is 6% interest rate of JASO minus the difference of floating interest rate and the arbitrage share. So that's how we got the 6.25%. Let me show you how this works. JASO has to pay 6% fixed interest rate to its bank, but it receives 6.25% from Google, which means 0.25% they are receiving extra, and JASO's quotation shows that the floating interest rate is MIBOR plus 0.50 percentage, but they are paying only MIBOR, which means they are paying 0.5 percentage less. So 0.5 percentage less they are paying plus 0.25 percentage extra that they are receiving, which means their arbitrage share is 0.75. On the other hand, Google has to pay MIBOR plus 2% to its bank, but it receives only MIBOR from JASO, which means MIBOR gets cancelled. They have to pay 2% to its bank plus 6.25% interest that Google is going to pay to JASO. So 6.25% plus 2%, which is 8.25%. So this is how interest rate swap works. If you think you like this video, click like button and do subscribe.